What's up, everybody? My name is Sid, and I've teamed up with the big homie Reg to bring y'all something new, something we like to call Beyond the Scoreboard. Y'all be sure to review, rate, and subscribe. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, where every 25-point lead is safe. What's going on, Reg?
Yeah, what it do?
Not much, man. We got a lot to cover. But we're gonna go ahead and start with the NBA. The NBA season kicked off last night. You had Brooklyn and Milwaukee, and then you had the Lakers take on the Warriors. We haven't talked much NBA since free agency, so I just wanted to get in here and just see how you feel about this NBA season and what direction you think it's gonna go in.
Before we even start, I thought you had my boy Kobe on your shirt. That's Pop.
Oh yeah.
I love to say Sid's really hyped for this NBA season.
Honestly, I am though, bro. I think this year, last year, and the year before, of course, when the pandemic first started, it was you got into it, with the bubble because you ain't had nothing else to watch. I mean, I'm a fan regardless, but you really had to try to get into it because there wasn't nothing else.
Right.
And then last year was just a weird season with all the injuries and it being a 72-game season instead of an 82-game season. Still wasn't many fans in the stands. Man, I'm excited for this year, man. You got these most arenas back at full capacity.
Yes, sir.
You got a lot of players coming back off of injury. So every year it seems like the field gets a little more even. There's going to be more, more competitive this year. So I'm really actually looking forward to this season.
Yeah, me too, man. Even watching it last night, it felt good opening night. I like the matchups that they put out there. Still kind of bummed not to see Klay Thompson out there running around with Steph. I thought that would have made the world of a difference, but it was good to see the NBA back, man. Got all the stars lined up for opening night, and they got the ball rolling.
100%. And Klay looked like they saying about 2 more months, and Klay should be back, and that's gonna make a big difference for that Golden State team.
And huge.
So I just wanted to throw out my final prediction. I always want to get into going into a season with a prediction.
Here we go. Some teams never played, but Sid got it. Here we go.
You gotta go into the season with a prediction, man. Like I say, I really like the landscape, East and West. I think they're going to be teams, especially in the East this year, that's going to look a whole lot better than what they have. Chicago being one of those teams with the additions they made. Indiana just getting healthy and getting back people like LeVert and Sabonis. But at the end of the day, man, superstars are king in this sport. And when you look at the West and you say, well, Jamal Murray's not back healthy yet, but Denver's still going to be around. But when would Jamal Murray be back? And you look at the Clippers and you say, well, Kawhi probably won't play this season.
That's sad to say.
Yeah. So when I look at the West, it's hard for me to not see the Lakers making it out the West. And then when you look at the East, man, it's always been for me, if Brooklyn healthy, Brooklyn making it.
Yeah.
But as things stand right now, with Kyrie not playing at home, that makes a huge difference, especially if that's something that's gonna last the whole season. So right now, with that being the case, with him only playing away games, is even with Kevin Durant and James Harden, you like, well, they should still make it out of the East, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm gonna still roll with Brooklyn, but Milwaukee's right there. If you're telling me that Kyrie's only gonna be playing road games this year,
didn't the Nets say something on the verge of like, if he's not back all the way, then they kind of want him to pretty much stay away?
Man, there's so many different reports coming out of there. There's been reports of them just wanting him gone, them wanting to trade him. There's been reports of, look, man, we're gonna pay you to play these road games, but we're not paying you if you're not gonna be playing home games. So, like I said, the latest I heard is they prefer to really just be rid of him, to trade him. But I don't know how successful that'll be. how many teams are willing to take that on at this point too, because hey, we living in an age where it's preferred that you're vaccinated, so we're gonna see. But as of now, they rolling with them for just to be playing away games. Seem like.
Yeah. So, as far as my predictions coming out of the East, a team that you left off, and maybe you don't even view them that way. I think the Miami Heat got better overnight with the additions that they made in the offseason. To me, they're more of a poised veteran team who kind of had issues offensively scoring. And I think Kyle Lowry is going to help them out for it's not just being another guy that can score 20, but a guy that can kind of facilitate and set others up. Jimmy Butler and Bam, if they're healthy, you know what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
And I really think the East is going to make a true push. Obviously, I think I'm going to take Milwaukee here. Veteran Ball Club just won it all. Really didn't lose anyone significant to me out of their core players. So I have to roll with them. But if you tell me, give you a team who you think can challenge those guys, I'm going Miami. Coming out the West, I hate the situation that the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard is in because I feel like although I'm not a Clippers fan, I'm not a Paul George fan, I'm not a Kawhi Leonard fan anymore. I just still feel like us as a fan, we got cheated out of watching the two LA teams go against each other in the Western Conference Final. I feel like until we get that, it's going to feel kind of awkward and we're going to feel cheated because that's what it was supposed to be. LeBron versus Kawhi. But obviously, his health has taken a turn for the worse. So I would probably have to ride with the Lakers in this one. I really think if it wasn't for injuries, even last year, the Lakers could have made the finals. And I definitely think with the added depth that they had, although these guys are older, they know their roles better than the players last year. Everybody kind of got an understanding of what's expected. So if they stay healthy, I got the Lakers making it out the West.
And the one thing I do want to say about Miami, because they're a wild card for me. Like I don't want to say they're Brooklyn or they're Milwaukee quite yet because it really depends on two players for me. The development of Bam Adebayo, who I feel like if they're going to be contenders, he has to be their best player. It can't be Jimmy Butler. It can't be Kyle Lowry. It has to be Bam. And then the development of Tyler Hero and how consistent he can be. Because what he went out there and gave them last year isn't good enough. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was in the playoffs his rookie year, but he has to be closer to that than what he was last year. And if he could be that and Bam continues to progress, then yeah, they're right there as well.
And see, when you say that Bam has to be your best player, I kind of view him and Jimmy Butler as a package deal, kind of like a Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Like some may say this guy's the best, some may say this guy's the best, or even Kyle Lowry and DeRozan when they were in Toronto. Some people felt like because DeRozan was the more scorer and more athletic, he was better, but Lowry was way better defensively and setting others up, had more responsibility, so he was better. I kind of see Bam and Jimmy in that like you don't have to tell me one is so much better than the other. Long as they're both are playing great up to their full potential, I think Miami will be good.
Yeah, and I definitely think Jimmy Butler is the leader of the team, and that's exactly the role he has to play. But when it comes to on court production, I think Bam has to be that. He has to be that clear number one for them to actually be able to take on Giannis and that Bucks team or KD and that Brooklyn team.
Gotcha.
So yeah, man, like you said, we only a day into the NBA season, so I did want to touch on that, but we'll be touching on that as time goes forward. But right now we're still in the heart of the NFL season. We got a break this past weekend,
Much needed break.
not having to stress over the Saints. So that's always a blessing. I usually hate these early buys, but this is one of those rare occasions where I'm like, man, we needed this right where we got it.
Absolutely.
So let's just look over the other games that went on that may have been interesting to us. Um, I want to start with the Ravens against the Chargers. That probably was the most surprising outcome
Crazy.
to me over the weekend. Not that the Ravens won, but how they won. This was the first week that the Chargers offense just didn't have it. They didn't have it in any in any form. And part of that is that Baltimore's defense, but part of that was just really the Chargers couldn't get it going. And they have such an aggressive coach that early on he rolled the dice a bit, and this was just one of those games that didn't work out for him, and it put them in a bigger hole. What do you think about Baltimore now?
I still think they're the same old Ravens. Not in a bad way, because damn, that sounds pretty bad. But by that I mean, like, they're still going to win a bunch of games in the regular season. They're still going to play at an all-pro level on both sides of the balls. You know what I'm saying? Even though the Ravens defense haven't lived up to expectations yet, when the goings get tough, that's still a defense who you expect to be able to put on the field and get a stop, especially in the playoffs. So I mean, they're still just one of the better teams, not only in the AFC but the NFL. But like you said, the Chargers just never got the ball going. It was surprising for me because, like, if there were going to be an upset game Sunday, like, this is one that I looked at, like, good as the Chargers been playing, especially from the quarterback position, that they definitely had a chance to go out here and win this game. But they never got the ball rolling, running the ball, passing the ball. They tried some things to get them outside the pocket. The Ravens was definitely ready for that. They just couldn't convert on third down. Like, nothing went their way. And then if you flip it on the Ravens side, they got every stop that they wanted. Lamar Jackson pretty much played around in the pocket. He had all day to throw the ball. It was just one of those games where the Ravens roll, and folks can see them in the Super Bowl or at least winning it. Some folks, it was that type of game for them.
Yep, and once again, it wasn't even that they. I mean, they were decent offensively, but they weren't even that great. But the fact that they were getting such good field position every go around, that made the difference. Because I'm looking now, when Lamar threw 2 interceptions, got sacked 3 times.
2 bonehead interceptions. I'm talking about devastating. Why did you even throw it interceptions right to the defense?
And I mean, didn't throw for 200 yards. Combined, they ran for about 150, 200. But once again, that's mostly behind Lamar Jackson. So
right.
Yeah, it was definitely one to where the Chargers definitely ended up beating themselves, which I can't honestly be mad at. Once again, the offense didn't get going, which was the biggest. That's the biggest thing. They never got their offense going. But I hate that people want to try to look at the gambles that the coach took early on, when that's something he's been doing all year. When it works, y'all ain't got nothing to say about it. But when it don't work, let's not throw a big. It's what he does, So if you're gonna hate it when he's doing it and it's successful, that's cool. You can hate, but don't love it when it's working and then hate it when it's not.
And see, I'm one of those people, man. I pretty much hate it at all times. I'm not a fan at all of going for it on 4th down, which that is the new thing this year. Obviously. Like 100%. Every coach you look at, from Cleveland to the Ravens, oh my God, I don't even think it's a discussion or a decision if they're going for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and inches. They going.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of teams. The Rams have been doing it a lot. The Arizona Cardinals. Yep. You have so many teams that are just playing so much aggressively. Doesn't matter what quarter, what the ball is placed, whatever the case is, they're trying to score points early.
And it's an analytical thing. Like, analytics will tell you, it's you got a better chance to win if you go for it on these 4th downs. And with a lot of teams, it makes sense. If you got Kyler Murray, if you got Lamar Jackson, if you got Patrick Mahomes, and you're staring at a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, why aren't you going for it? But coaches like Staley, he's going for it on his own 20. 3 minutes into the first quarter, and
setting the tone early.
Yeah, and that's what it gets you beat. Another game I looked at from that I found interesting was the Cowboys and Patriots.
Very interesting game.
Man. So my 2 biggest takeaways from this game is, one, Bill Belichick still got it, right? It's just he still got it. Like, I don't care what anybody says about him. I don't care what their record says. Bills still got it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is Dak Prescott is earning every cent of that $75 million he made this year.
Mm-hmm. I told you.
Which, of course, when he first got it, and you're like, dang, he making $75 million the first year. You
Mm-hmm.
like he can never live up to that. Like
Yeah.
no matter how good he is, he's living up to that right now. What you about to say?
I told you last week, he's the best quarterback in the NFL thus far. If you
Yeah,
look at all quarterbacks from top to bottom, they got some quarterback that's playing good. Russell Wilson wasn't turning the ball over a lot before the injury. Matthew Stafford has definitely came over and made the Rams look like a different football team. Lamar Jackson still playing good football.
Brady, of
Pat
course.
Mahomes on his worst day. Josh Allen is playing unbelievable. All those guys, Tom Brady,
Yeah.
all those guys, right? I still want Dak. To me, Dak has been the most impressive player at the quarterback position thus far.
And I'm not going to debate you on that because once again, I don't disagree in a way where I'm like, no, so and so is way better or so and so is way better. I don't have any of that. But yeah, that he's definitely been playing some great football. Dallas in general has been playing some great football. Between between Zeke and Pollard, they getting a run game going
Last
finally.
last two
CeeDee
games, they've
Lamb
been.
has been, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's crazy how fast he's come along. I was just telling someone last week, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he is the guy who they go to. Amari Cooper. If you're
Yep.
going to give him all that attention, we're going to put CD in the slot. And if you don't put a great corner on him, this is where we're going with the football. They
Yep.
asked Amari Cooper a question. They said, "How do you feel about not getting targets?" Him and Robert Woods asked him the same question. They had very similar answers. How can I complain and we winning? It's
Yep.
just that simple. Who cares? I got 3 catches for 39 yards. If we winning by double digits points, I mean, why would I be mad at that? You know. But
Yep.
yeah, CD is he's balling right now, man.
And what I was about to say, and Trayvon Diggs, like that dude, like I don't know what it would take at this point for him to lose defensive player of the year, but it would be something crazy that would have to happen at this point.
It's so crazy because he's the most talked about football player right now, right? You got
Yeah,
some people who feel like he's the next making of Deion Sanders, and then like you have a lot of other people who feel like he's just a decent corner, you
yeah,
know. And like I'm caught in between. Like I think he's a decent corner with incredible um, ball recognition. He plays the ball great, and he catches the football great.
yes.
But far as like technique, which makes a corner, speed, which makes a corner, like to me, he doesn't blow me away.
He's a true ball hawk. Like you
Definitely.
say, his play recognition, his ball skills are phenomenal. To me, him and Marshawn Lattimore so far this season are the two best corners, and in complete different ways. Marshawn Lattimore is the cornerback that's going to be on his receiver's hip. He's going to have all these pass breakups and everything else. Like you're not going to beat him. And Trayvon Diggs is kind of the opposite. Like I don't care about my corner. I don't care about my receiver. I'm watching the football, and when I get my opportunities, I'm going to take them, and they've been working off of him, and they've been putting Dallas in these incredible positions. Like you say, and that only helps when you have Dak on the other side of the football. You cashing in on that.
Yeah.
So to me, those are the two best cornerbacks so far this season, and in two different ways. So it's good to see. And maybe that's different if Marshawn Lattimore actually has two hands. Maybe he's coming down with more interceptions as well. If
Yeah.
he ain't got one hand in a cast.
Yeah.
And then like I say, man, the Patriots they spent a lot of money this off season. Some of it you looked at and was like, you just spending money to spend money. Like the receiver Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar, those guys I wasn't real big on them spending money on the way that they did. Because they're average receivers and they're showing that. They're getting what they can get out of Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith.
Isn't much.
um, the Mac Jones is probably the best quarterback so far out of that class, which we thought he would be coming into this first season, but he's still a rookie quarterback, and it shows a lot of the time. So, like I said, the Patriots are going to be fine, but this season is going to probably be another washed one for them.
Yep.
The last game I really wanted to touch on. Oh no, there were two more. One is the Cardinals and the Browns. The result of that game didn't really surprise me once the injuries started piling up for the Browns. When you come in without Nick Chubb, and then you lose Kareem Hunt, and then Baker's already hurt, and then he gets hurt even more. So that didn't really shock me. That the Cardinals ended up pulling off 37-14, even though the Cardinals had some injuries of their own across their defensive line. But for me, you know how big I've been on the Browns these past 2 seasons, and it seems like injuries is going to be something that's going to continue to get in their way. Last year, it was mostly on the defensive side of the football. This year, it's attacking the offense. I know they put Kareem Hunt on IR. Nick Chubb's not going to play tomorrow night. Baker's not going to play tomorrow night.
They already ruled Baker out?
Yeah, Case Keenum's taking over tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
Which is smart because he wants to play, but look, on a short week, let's just sit you down and give you that more time to recover for our next game. But if the Browns can't get healthy, man, this is like they've already fallen into this 3-3 hole. Not hole, but they're 3-3. They go to play the Broncos tomorrow night, and with what they're missing, they could very much likely be 3-4.
Yep.
And then once again, you're talking about a division that has the Bengals and has Baltimore, who I think at this point, both of them may only have one loss, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Baltimore lost 2 games.
Okay, so yeah, so they may both. Let me check. Baltimore's 5-1. The Bengals are 4-2.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so once again, we're looking at one of these divisions that's so good that you can't afford to get behind early. And the Browns, because of injury more than anything, have found themselves in that position.
Yep.
And the Cardinals still rolling. Like I don't have too much to say. We talk about them. We've been talking about them every week because you can't not talk about them at this point. But the last undefeated team this week, they have Houston. I think they're a 17-point favorite.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I mean,
and I think they cover.
Man, I hate spreads that big. I really do, especially in the NFL. But like you say, when you look at it, you like, why wouldn't they beat them by 17 points? So, any other game you wanted to tackle from this past week, or anything in general you wanted to touch on?
This past week, definitely got to go with. No, I think we actually covered all the games that was worth talking about last week.
Yeah,
I think so. Well, Tennessee. Did we talk about Tennessee?
Oh yeah, Tennessee. You're right. Tennessee Buffalo Monday Night Football.
Yeah, very good game.
The MVP of our league, Derrick Henry.
Hey, at least let's start by saying the best running back in football. I think he's
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. And he's been there for a while, and a lot of people, me included, we've looked at it and taken away from him because he's not a pass catcher.
But he's not, and I thought about this too. He's not a bad catcher of the football.
He's not. He's just not as good as those other guys, and we've been taken away from him because of it. But that man has been the best running back in football for 3-4 seasons.
I was going to say at least 2. I think if you go back 3, that's that Christian McCaffrey year. We had over 100 catches as well and went over 1,200 yards rushing or something. I think that was 3 years ago.
I mean, but Derrick Henry probably still the best running back in the game. Like I say, that's what we get into. We get into, Christian McCaffrey can catch the ball out the. But is he a better runner of the football than Derrick Henry? No.
As I said, I don't think nobody's going to be a pure better runner than Derrick Henry now.
So, and like I say, that's how we've been taken away from him. It's by saying, Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, they out here catching these footballs too. But man, like Derrick Henry's on pace to to break the rushing record for one season right
Yeah.
now. You know,
And see, when
touchdowns.
I say he's the best, it's not necessarily looking at it from a fantasy standpoint, like, catches and, oh, I'm getting points or anything like that. But I look at how the way guys affect the game of football, how you make defenses line up differently. Right now, Derrick Henry is doing that.
Yeah.
And when I go back 3 years ago, Christian McCaffrey did that. It was impossible to load the box against. It was impossible not to play smaller against Carolina because you didn't want to leave a bigger linebacker on Christian McCaffrey, just like teams try to do against with Alvin Kamara. But Derrick Henry, what he done Monday was just ridiculous from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
A loaded box every snap.
And it doesn't and
it was ridiculous.
Throwing there, like, come on.
He took the snap immediately. He had pressure. Somebody knocked him back 2 yards. He stiffed on a D tackle, and the play wound up being a -3 yards. And I was like, that was the most impressive 3-yard run I've ever seen in my life. He's just different. Like the touchdown to seal the game. Folks wrapped on your ankles, and you bounce up against the D tackle, and you don't even move, and you don't even stumble into the end zone. Like, you different, bro. You
100%.
different. I don't know what you're trying to prove. I know he worked out crazy hard. I get it. Like, this is what he do.
And then and the difference between this year, because Tannehill has been there 3 years now? This is his third season?
2.5 or something like that. Yeah.
So since Tannehill has been there, they've been in a position to where you've had to respect their passing game a little more, especially when they still had Corey Davis and of course AJ Brown. AJ Brown hasn't been good this year. Julio Jones hasn't been good this year. They don't have a tight end anymore because Jonnu Smith is in New England. So thus far this season, it's been all on Derrick Henry. And hey, he's welcoming the challenge of, look, I'll carry y'all. Until y'all figure it out, I'll carry y'all.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's been really impressive. And for them to go up and be able to perform like that against a Buffalo Bills team who we all see as contenders as well, that was a great showing for them Monday.
And not only that, you're going against a high-powering Bills team. Josh Allen, one of the hottest quarterbacks in football. We know what you get from Diggs. Emmanuel Sanders has definitely helped them out. Let's talk about Dawson Knox. It's crazy that how Dawson Knox has overnight turned into a household name at the tight end position for the Bills.
Yeah.
Either he's catching balls and getting downfield, or he's in red zone scoring touchdowns. They finally starting to have a little better success running the ball. The Bills are really clicking. Defense is tough. And this is one of the defenses that's had Derrick Henry number the past couple seasons. So I was really in tune, like, all right, if Julio's going to have a coming out party, it has to be tonight, although he was playing with injury, and then he got injured worse, taken out. But like you said, man, Derrick Henry, what he did against the Bills, that was crazy.
And AJ Brown had a decent game. He had some big catches down the stretch.
Just to keep the chains moving and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, man, we came into this season saying, look, that's going to be a high-power offense, man, when you got Derrick Henry and then you add Julio Jones and you still got AJ Brown, and it just hasn't been that way so far this year. But once again, Derrick Henry has carried them to a 4-2 record thus far.
And in the words of Sid, Tennessee needs a whole new secondary. That was probably the worst secondary performance I've seen all season.
And you just made that comment about Buffalo and their run game being better. They still got to go get a running back, man. Like, I don't understand how they not calling Indianapolis about Marlon Mack right now, because just a competent running back would make a world of difference for them.
Yeah, that's true.
So looking forward to Week 7. Let's start with our New Orleans Saints and what we've all been saying for the past few weeks is just make it to the bye week. Make it to the bye week, and let's get some of these reinforcements back. So they've activated a lot of players off of IR. Will Lutz was first. Marcus Davenport, Quan Alexander, Traquan Smith. Those are the 4 that's been activated. The other guys that we're waiting on, Armstead, Michael Thomas, and Eric McCoy, We still don't have anything on them yet, but once again, they're making it seem like it's going to be sooner than later. And Anyamata, this is his last game of suspension, and he'll be back for week 8.
Yep.
So potentially for week 8, we're going to be looking at I don't want to say a completely different team, but a much different team than what we've seen thus far. And the most important of all of that to me is offensively. Getting a Traquan Smith, getting the Michael Thomas back, getting Eric McCoy back, Teron Armstead. There's a lot on offense that we're missing right now. And even though we've been able to pull out games, it's been mostly on the back of our defense. And that's not something that we're going to be able to do for 17 games. So offensively, it has to pick up. And that really starts with getting those weapons back on offense.
Yes, sir.
But this week, we travel to Seattle to take on a team who's dealing with injuries of their own, with Russell Wilson being down, Chris Carson being down. But they still have plenty of weapons over there with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner on defense. So what are you looking forward to and how you see this game playing out Monday night?
Even if Seattle had Russell Wilson, I would have still took the Saints to win this game on the road. I just think the Saints defense, even though we're not getting, the record sacks that we were getting last year, it still is a pretty solid unit. I think our defense to this point has still been somewhat underrated by the rest of the NFL world. But I think we've been one of the better units thus far. Solid cornerback play, secondary play, period. Marcus Williams, I wasn't a fan of the $10 million, but he's definitely lived up to it. That's far. He's everywhere he should be, for the most part of this season. But I think they're going to have to take shots, and in them, I think I'm talking about Seattle. They have to take shots. I don't understand why you have DK Metcalf and you just don't just release him down the field at certain points of the game. I don't get it. Like, they have to do it this week. They have to. That's the only way they can be successful. But in order to do that, you have to give Geno time, and I don't see them being able to give Geno time. So I have the Saints winning this game. We know the Saints are going to do phenomenal against the run. It's not like Seattle can run the ball at this point. No way. Yeah. Tyler Lockett, he has been a disappointment to this year. He hasn't been the Tyler Lockett that we've seen these past couple years. Yeah. So I really do think it's going to come down to if they can make big plays or not. That's what I think it comes down to. Defensively, I think they'll match up decently against us at times, but I don't see them being productive enough offensively to win this game.
So and the first thing I was going to say when you said that about DK Metcalf and not giving him many opportunities is that offensive line. It doesn't give any quarterback any time. And Russell Wilson, man, we've been seeing this and saying this for at least 4 seasons now, even maybe more than that. I want to say this all started once they traded Max Unger for Jimmy Graham. And they started trying to experiment with people across the offensive line. But Russell Wilson has been making all of this happen for Seattle by his ability to stay alive. Pocket. Geno Smith doesn't have that same capabilities. I know we haven't seen Geno in a while, but I'm quite sure he hasn't grown a new pair of legs and is out here moving around like a Russell Wilson or a Kyler Murray. So that offensive line with Russell Wilson behind it, that's one thing. Having a sitting duck behind it is going to be something completely different. Yeah. And then on the other side of the ball, we're talking about a defense who's 32nd in yards allowed. They got rid of their best corner last year, which was they let Griffin go. Shaquille Griffin, he went to Jacksonville. I think their best corner right now is Sidney Jones.
By far, I think too.
Jamal Adams is a good safety. He's not the best coverage safety.
Oh, he's good in the box. He's great in the box.
Yeah. So and man, like 16th in yards allowed and rush yards allowed. So that's like the moment Russell Wilson went down, that season ended. Him being out for any amount of time was gonna kill them. I don't see. I mean, I can see a way, but I'm hoping that there's not that doesn't happen. I don't really see the Saints not running away with this game.
Yeah. It's going to come down to Seattle not being able to run. If they can run the ball, it would be so much different if they had success running the ball, because then you slow the game down, you
Yeah,
limit
exactly.
possessions from New Orleans. But more importantly, when you go to fake the ball in the belly of the running back, you make our DN stand up for a split second. And I just don't think they're going to be able to run the football against us. I
Nope.
don't see it,
Nope.
and that's the story of the game. If you can't run the ball, then you won't be successful.
And even with Chris Carson, it would have been tough.
Mm-hmm.
But not having him, you going
Yeah.
out there with Alex Collins
Alex Collins. Yeah.
and Homer,
Mm-hmm.
and DJ Dallas and those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be able to get them much.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
then once again, if they can't stop anything, like this may be the best offensive performance we see so
Yeah.
far. For one, because we're coming off a bye week and we had
Mm-hmm.
that time for extra preparation. But for two, once again, their defense isn't good. Not against the run, not against the pass. Um, so I'm quite sure we both got the Saints covering it 4.5. This victory should be way more than 5 points.
I
Um,
think so. At least 7.
yeah, at least 7. Um, so yeah, that was yeah. So we're looking at making a statement coming out of the bye week, which New Orleans is something they typically do off of a bye week. They're pretty
Mhm.
good in general. But this is a very favorable matchup to try to get to 4-2.
Mhm.
The next game we'll look at is the Bengals against the Ravens. We touched on how good of a division the AFC North is when we talked about last week's game and the Browns injuries. Um, but once again, like you said, man, the Ravens are the Ravens. They gonna go out there and they're gonna be solid on defense, and it's really gonna usually come down to how good or how bad Lamar Jackson is. But they're gonna win a lot of regular season games. But this Bengals team has looked really good thus far
Yep.
this year. Joe Burrow looks to have shaken back from his injury last year. Joe Mixon has shaken back from after not having that great of a year last year as well. But the person that's catching everybody's eye so far is Jamar Chase and what
Mhm.
he's been able to do
Yep.
so far. How do you see that game playing out? They
Well,
Ravens are favored by 6.5.
very close. If I had to pick in this game, I would say that the Ravens. I would say the Ravens cover, but it's
Okay.
close. It's real
Yeah.
close, like extremely close. I really do think it's going to be a close game, especially in the beginning, and I could kind of see the Ravens running away in the fourth quarter. But Joe Burrow has been playing pretty decent football. He's kept the turnovers down this year more, because I want to say what his first 6 games he had just as many interceptions as touchdowns, if I remember. And right now, I think the last time I viewed it. It was about half and half or so, like 14, 15 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah.
Couple 6, 7 interceptions. And they still not running the ball as much as I would like, but when you got playmakers on the outside, I mean, sometimes that's just enough to pull it through. The Ravens has definitely had their issues in the passing game, as far as on defense go. Their best corner, to me, he was top 3 corner last year, Marlon Humphreys. He
Hmm.
has came with that same play and that same energy like he had last year or whatever. So I could definitely see Cincinnati getting some big shots and making this out of a game.
And which we knew as soon as it happened. Missing Marcus Peters has
Hmm.
really, affected that Baltimore's defense as well.
But they're supposed to be so deep at the cornerback position, because they still have Averett, who's been there a handful of years, very fast. He's
Yeah,
experienced, and you still have Jimmy Smith. Jimmy
yeah.
Smith all over there.
I think I'm going to roll with the Bengals in this one. Not necessarily saying that they're going to win, but I think they could keep it close to where we're looking at a field goal at the end of this game.
Yep.
Uh, Once again, offensively, they have that balance. They have the talent with the receivers. not only Jamar Chase, but you got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd to still
Yep.
worry about. And then you have the tight end that's also been very reliable so far this season. And then you have Joe Mixon to worry about out that backfield.
Yep.
I think both defenses will play okay. I think what's the over under 47? I'd probably take the over for this game. Um, but I think once again, I think the Bengals are able to keep this to a field goal. And I don't think they go out here and allow Baltimore to get them by a touchdown. I can even see an overtime game right here.
Gotcha.
Um, the next one is the Chiefs and the Titans. The Chiefs are a 5.5 point favorite against the Titans. Titans are at home in this game too.
Tough. 5.5.
5.5.
Got to go with KC.
Yeah.
I know Derrick Henry's going to run the ball very, very well against Kansas City. They've had that issues at defense, but I really think this can be one of the better games for Kansas City defensively. Just having to worry about the run more than both.
Yeah.
We know the issues they're having with Chris Jones playing him at end over D tackle this year is not worked out thus far. But only having to worry about the run because nothing has been impressive about Tannehill's passing game this year. You got Julio Jones, who more than likely will miss this game or, at least be watched. A.J. Brown is also playing banged up. No tight end. Offensive line has been having issues in the passing game. So I'm loading the box with Honey Badger, and I'm saying if you're going to beat me, throw it over my head.
Yeah.
And, we know, anything Kansas City defense does positively, giving them back the ball, getting stops. Pat Mahomes going to make that Tennessee defense pay. That Tennessee secondary is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out bad.
Yep.
Man-wise, zone-wise, they are bad. And Pat Mahomes haven't been Pat Mahomes, of late, but that's a quarterback in offense you don't want none of.
Yep.
None of. I can see Travis Kelce catching 13 or 50 balls Sunday.
Yep.
I can see that kind of performance from him.
Then we've talked about this before. In the offseason when Tennessee let both of their top two corners walk, we looked at them and was like, well, what's the answer for this? And I think they really felt like Caleb Farley was going to be able to step in and be really good for them. And then of course they signed Janoris Jenkins. But man, like you say, that secondary is horrible. Like regardless of what they try to go out and play.
Janoris Jenkins have had more blown assignments in this year so far than he did with the whole year and a half he played with the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a completely different corner over there.
And part of that was what I was worried about, why I was willing to let him go too, because you just never know. But and once again, but that's not all on him. Part of it is, of course,
they get no pressure. Tennessee,
yeah. Part of it is, of course, but and I honestly think the opposite of you about Tennessee. I think this may be a game where Tennessee's passing game actually picks up and are actually able to be successful passing the football.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still taking Kansas City because there's not many teams that I don't feel like Kansas City should be beaten by a touchdown. Like if it's going to be a shootout, if you're telling me neither team is going to be playing defense, Kansas City should still go out there and put up more points.
Right.
Man, like I said, Kansas City has to figure it out defensively. Maybe they can do that here, but like I said, I think the better chance is that Tennessee figures it out passing the football. A.J. Brown is able to come alive a little bit off of this performance he had Monday. But I still got the Chiefs winning by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's me.
Philadelphia against the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. We got them. What we got? San Francisco. No, we got Las Vegas favored by 3. The 3-point favorites at home against the Eagles. I wasn't big on the Eagles coming into the season. I don't feel that differently about them now. They're about where I figured they'd be 6 games in with a 2-4 record. A quarterback in Jalen Hurts who he's not consistent, so you don't know exactly what to bet on him giving you every week. Once again, though, but part of that is the weapons that's around him. You got Devontae Smith. You got Dallas Goedert, who's been hurt. You got rid of the shipped out Zach Ertz finally, so he's gone. I've never been a big fan of Miles Sanders, or any running back that they have back there.
It's crazy. The people who you don't care for, man, you be consistent with it. Like it don't matter what they do, how they playing at the current time. So it's Miles.
Yeah, like so this Vegas team, who even before the exit of John Gruden, was a team that we looked at and was like, man, they're playing better than what we expected, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with Max Crosby and Carl Nassib, and those guys across the defensive line. But then offensively, Derek Carr has looked like a top 10 quarterback for most of the season to this point.
Yes,
And
sir.
I don't see that slowing down, especially going against this Philadelphia defense
Yeah.
at all. And there's nothing in me that makes me believe that the Philadelphia offense is going to be able to keep up. So 3 points, man, I feel like that's real low for this game. So I definitely got Vegas being able to beat them by more than 3.
And I agree with you right there. The only and something else that you left off, the Raiders is one of those teams that I came in watching a lot of. I kind of expected them to do a little better than what most people did.
Yeah.
They found 3 running back system that's starting to work for them. With Kenyon Drake being signed this offseason, he took a lot of pressure off of the guy that starts there, Jacobs. He took a lot of pressure off of him starting. And Jacobs even missed, I want to say he exited the game early and then he missed the game.
Yeah.
And Drake was able to step in and look great. Peyton Barber, bro, I forgot all about him. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't a fan of him at all when he played for Tampa Bay. But these last 2 games, he toted the ball fairly decent for the Raiders. So you mix that in with the fact that they're using Ruggs down the field. We know what Darren Waller is. Renfro, he gets his. Defense is playing better. The Eagles, right? The most underrated thing about the Eagles that people don't talk about is their front four. Their front four has been decent. It's just everything beyond that has been horrible. So I do, think they will be able to get to the quarterback a little bit better, contain the run, but I don't see them being able to play both of those things good enough to keep this game close. Eagles still have their issues on offense, so it's going to give the Raiders more chances to score. So like you, I would have said at least if I was a betting man and I'm taking Philly, you would have to at least give me 7. 4, I mean, that's just a gimme. 3-4 points. Got to take the Raiders.
I don't think I can name an Eagles linebacker right off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I can name anybody in the secondary outside of Darius Slay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably it. Yeah. So and that's not good if those and that's not good if I can't name a linebacker on your team in general. Right. And I know Fletcher Cox, I think, has been dealing with some injuries as of late. So yeah, it's hard.
Hargrove has been probably playing better than Fletcher Cox at this point in the season.
Yeah, yeah. So it's hard for me, and of course that Eagles offensive line, it's always something going on with that offensive line. But I see Lane Johnson is back, and he's supposed to play this week, so that's going to help. But once again, I don't see them being able to keep up with Vegas at this point. So the last game we're going to look at is Sunday night football, which is the Indianapolis Colts going to the San Francisco 49ers, where San Francisco is favored by 4.5. I think this is going to be the one we go opposite of. What you looking at there?
I like both teams for different reasons. The Colts, their defense, right? I've been really looking forward. They had a primetime game last week, and I was like, I really want to take the opportunity to examine the Colts defense because to me, they get a little bit more love than what they deserve.
Yeah.
Folks always have them around that top 5, top 7 defenses, and I'm like, I just don't see it. Who did they play? Who did the Colts play?
Last week?
Yeah. Was it?
It was Houston last week, right?
The week before last. Then
Oh,
did
the
they
week
fall to
before.
Dallas or somebody? I don't know, but I know they were on prime time, and I got a chance to check them out. But
Yeah.
their defense is decent, but I just don't think they're all world or they're going to change the game for them. The biggest thing is Carson Wentz. He haven't snapped back and start looking like Carson Wentz that was in Philly and almost won MVP before the injury. Jonathan Taylor has been, to me, the only bright spot offensively, for that team. Um, San Francisco is a more rounded team. Whether Trey is going to play or Jimmy G, I still like San Francisco in this game, and I also like San Francisco to cover, and that's depending on whatever quarterback play.
Yeah.
I think the defense, the front seven is good. The Colts don't have what it takes to challenge them outside where it matters. The weak point of that San Francisco defense. T.Y. Hilton came back, but then he got an injury and he left, so you still don't have a receiver. I just think this game can be won early. Like I can definitely see San Francisco going into halftime up as many as 8 to 10 points. I just don't like the coach this week.
Yeah, and like I said, and I figured we were going to be pretty on the opposite of this one. I'm gonna roll with the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz last week with having T.Y. Hilton back
Mm-hmm.
showed that he can definitely get back to not where he was that year. He was closing in on MVP, but he could get back to being a respectable quarterback. If it's he just needs that one true weapon out there,
Mm-hmm.
and when you give him that and have the other weapon, your number one at this point for Carson Wentz can't be Michael Pittman, but his number two can be Michael Pittman if his number one is T.Y. Hilton. And that offense looked a lot different just by being able to bump down Michael Pittman, Pascal. What's the other guy they got? They got one other guy over there, receiver. So if T.Y. Hilton, which I expect him to play Sunday night, don't know how healthy he's going to be, but I figure he's going to be back out there. He gives them um, what honestly they've been missing on offense. Because like you say, Jonathan Taylor has been the bright spot for them so far. They can run the football. Jonathan
Definitely.
Taylor, Marlon Mack has been
Mm-hmm.
getting more run lately, even though he's asked for a trade. And then you got to worry about Naheem Hines and what he's going to be able to do out the backfield in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give them a true number one receiver, that opens up so much more for them. Defensively, I can agree with you that they get more love than what they deserve in some aspects. Last year, it was turnover differential.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to force a lot of turnovers and capitalize off of them. This year hasn't been much different. I want to say they're third in turnover differential at this point. They give up a lot of passing yards. They're okay against the run, but they force turnovers, and that's the difference. We know how Jimmy G is with the football. He's going to turn the football over this game if he plays. Trey Lance, it'll probably be worse if it's Trey Lance. So I think they force turnovers and avoid turning the football over. Not even gonna go out and say that they're absolutely going to win this football game, but I can see them being able to stay within those 4.5 points.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
going to take the Colts.
and like I said, I'm taking the 49ers no matter what QB play. I feel like
Yeah,
if Trey win, they can win by 5. But I feel like if Jimmy G play, this is Jimmy G types of game. A team that's gonna sit back, identify coverage early, a whole bunch of zone, get rid of
mm-hmm.
the ball quick, mix it with run. This is Jimmy G types of game. This is the games that he excel in. So if Jimmy G play, I'm definitely taking San Francisco.
Yeah. And they say that he's been feeling good, so it's looking like he's going to be ready to go once again. We talked about it at the beginning of the season when we talked about when would Jimmy G lose his job, and I said he's either going to have to play horribly bad or injury is going to have to take him out. He knows he has to get back on that field immediately
ASAP.
to not lose his job.
ASAP. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows he has to get back as soon as possible. So I figure he's going to play Sunday night. The only other thing I wanted to bring up before we got off of here was just the fact that I don't know if you saw the news earlier about Deshaun Watson, uh, and they're saying that a Miami trade might actually happen this week. Um, but man, what happened to Tua so fast? Like that.
What you mean
That
so fast?
so it's his second year. Like he was a rookie last year.
What did you see What did you see last year that made you say this is our guy?
So and that's a whole different conversation. The quickness that people give up on quarterbacks nowadays. But once again, you had the year going into Tua's draft was tank for Tua. It was let's lose all of these games so Tua can be our quarterback. Obviously, it wasn't what Miami was actually doing, but it's what Miami fans and a lot of people around the organization wanted to do. Tua was their guy.
Yeah,
And for 2 seasons, he's been hurt a lot. He's missed a lot. And when he has played, it hasn't been anything
except
amazing. Not saying that he can't get to that point, but so far it hasn't materialized. Um
we just talked about Jimmy G having to rush back so he won't lose his job to injury, not because Trey has outperformed him. Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing better, gave them the better chance of winning, and they still benched him for Tua.
yep.
Tua didn't even get it the right way.
Yeah.
He's never done nothing to me to deserve to be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. Never.
Yeah, 100, like I don't disagree with you at all. Um but I'm not ready to say the two is a bust either. Like I think it's one of those situations where Sam Darnold and the Jets. Oh well, the Jets just weren't the fit for him. Or even like it's crazy, but I'm a firm believer that if Mitchell Trubisky was the starting quarterback of Buffalo right now, he look a whole lot different than the quarterback he was in
Totally agree.
Chicago. So
Totally
I
agree.
think Tua is going to be that type of situation. Um, but Deshaun Watson going to Miami is what I wanted when he first said, "Look, I want out of here." I
Mhm.
looked at Miami and said, "Oh, that's the perfect spot for
San
you."
Francisco.
Yeah, a lot of people, and once again, like I can't argue with San Francisco. Um, but what's the? I don't know. I don't want to get into that. Miami is where I wanted him to go initially. So if he ends up in Miami, I'm happy. Um, what happens with the NFL and his lawsuits and all that stuff afterwards? It's hard for me to believe that with the allegations and lawsuits he has going on now, if they were going to materialize in something that was going to get him suspended for a year or banned from the NFL, Miami wouldn't be making a trade. They obviously know that it's not leading to that, at least with what's been put against him at this moment. Now, if something new resurfaces, then they screwed.
Right.
But it's hard for me to believe that anything crazy like that is going to happen when they get him. So I'm expecting him to get to Miami because once again we know that he hasn't played this year, not
Mhm.
because of anything with the NFL. It's just the Texans not playing him.
Right.
So he gets to Miami, they're going to be looking to start him as soon as possible,
Yeah.
and that could change a lot for that team. Honestly,
Yep.
when you look at him and you say, man, the difference in a lot of these games has been quarterback play.
Yeah. I don't. It'll be hard for me to see a situation where Miami trade for him simply because of everything that's around him. Right. I get it. Something would have been done by now. I get it, but I just think the situation Miami's in with the draft picks they have, the draft picks that they may get this year, because if Tua continues to underachieve at this point, who knows how the season unfolds for them. But if they do get Deshaun Watson, watch out NFL.
Yeah,
Like for real, watch out. I
yeah,
think the boost everybody's been talking about, how Miami defense has taken a step back. Trading for a guy like Watson will probably get that defense the boost has been missing, knowing they don't have
100%.
to go out there and win every game.
Yeah, and of
Yeah.
course they've dealt with some injuries too. I know their last game, I don't think I don't think Howard or Jones played in London.
But
So
to be honest with you, they have been like the weak points of their defense. It has been, their outside corner play from
yeah,
those guys.
yeah, and that's not something I think is gonna keep up though. Not with those two guys being back
Yeah,
there. Um, so yeah, like that would definitely change a lot at this point in the season where they can still make something of their season if
right.
quarterback was something something that they were able to improve upon.
All right, and we'll end with this. If Tua is not included in the package deal for Watson, is Tua a quarterback that you would welcome in New Orleans?
100%. Is Sean Payton, like, so there's not that many quarterbacks where I'm looking at saying Sean Payton can't make that guy better than what he already is.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tua is a better talent than Jameis Winston is. So I'm welcoming Tua. I'm welcoming Tua. Like I said, there's not many quarterbacks that I'm not looking at and saying Sean Payton can't make better. Taysom Hill is one of those quarterbacks, but outside of him,
I knew Taysom's name was gonna get brought up one way or the other. I thought you was gonna start off by saying he's a better quarterback than Taysom Hill. I thought you was gonna start off by saying
But yeah, so Tua is definitely somebody that I would welcome into New Orleans, man. You're talking about a guy who's 23, 24, who just, once again, I feel like he just needs that right person in his ear. He's in Miami. They have 2 offensive coordinators. You don't know who's calling plays. You don't know who. Like, I don't even understand that situation. So yeah, Tua is definitely somebody I would be welcoming.
Gotcha.
But
I disagree with the more talented than Jameis Winston thing. But
really, you don't think Tua is a more talented quarterback than Jameis Winston?
I think Jameis Winston is the poster child for this dude is better than what we think he is. It's just the situation he's been in. I think putting Jameis Winston into a New Orleans Saints offense at the age of 23, learning from Sean Payton, I would like that situation better than having a Tua at 23. Jameis. What's the one thing that makes you say that's why I want Tua to play quarterback for me? It's not his strength, it's not his speed, it's not his arm power, it's not his accuracy. He doesn't read defenses like extremely well. He doesn't make others better. He's not a playmaker. The one thing we can rely on Jameis Winston is being a strong thrower of the football, and he's pretty accurate with it.
But that's it. Like, he's a strong thrower of the football. That's it. His decision-making still isn't great. He's not a mobile quarterback. Tua is going to give you mobility. But Tua is more accurate than you give him credit
Jameis
for.
Winston can move around. It's just that
he can move around. Yeah, he's not what I expect Geno to be Monday in the pocket. No, but Tua is a mobile quarterback. Tua can get out there and get it done with his legs. Jameis isn't that. And Tua is more accurate than what you're giving him credit for as well. He's a more accurate quarterback than what you're giving him credit for. Do I think Jameis is a more accurate quarterback than him? Maybe at this point. But once again, if you're giving me Tua at 23, 24, that's something, I'll take it. I'll take what he is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. We disagree on a lot, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. But yeah, that was a good question right there. So yeah, man, that's it for this week. Looking forward to another good week of football. We got basketball now, so we got basketball games coming on every night as well. We'll touch on that some more next week. But man, back to it with New Orleans. Back to stressing over New Orleans this week, man.
Back to it.
All right, until next week.
You boys not in my league. No. If you listen close, I'm coaching. Take heed, cause the boy hella dope without pushing a Blanco. Still stabbing bitches like 94 in the Bronco. If it's about the money, I'm leaving them hoes pronto. If I don't do nothing, I'm about line so. Every time I do it to